We are Oz!
If you ride a motorcycle,
your ego is writing checks your body can't cash.
This is going to be an almighty battle towards this last corner. Oh, three manufacturers, three abreast.
Please don't be hating.
Down the straight. Now let's see who's got the grunt.
Daddy's going to start to take the training wheels off.
He's through. Oh, no, he's not.
Yes, he is.
No,
He
he's
was.
not.
Watch.
No, he's not.
Calm down. You make me want to throw up in some tinfoil and eat it.
This is classic MotoGP.
No way!
Awesome.
Look at him go!
He's through.
You heard me, you half-stepping moist-ass bitch.
Block pass, block pass, block pass.
You got something to say, Porky, huh? Diva diva?
If you thought 2013 was fantastic, that was nothing in comparison with this.
Welcome to another edition of 2Wheel Podcast. I'm your host, Ralph Rodriguez. What a extra special show we have today. Sammy Halbert. I found out he's going to be over at Brian Bartlow's December 13th, 14th, both days as a guest instructor. We're going to have Sammy on. We're going to talk about him, his career, and what he's going to be doing over there at Brian Bartlow's Feel Like a Pro camp. We also got Keith Code. He's going to talk to us. Keith Code kind of unplugged. I don't know if you've ever heard him like this before. We didn't talk a lot of motorcycles. We talked about him and what he's got going on, and so that was an extra special interview. I really enjoyed that a whole bunch. Of course, we've got another MotoFit Minute coming up for you. As always, you can follow us on Twitter, 2WheelPodcast. You can follow us on Facebook, 2WheelPodcast. Send us an email, 2WheelPodcast@gmail.com. Tell us that you love us. Tell us that you hate us. Just write us and let us know that you're listening. You have made this show one of the most listened to shows in the motorcycle community. We want to thank you because we do this especially for you. It's difficult, it's hard, but knowing that you guys are listening to the show and that you love it is great. Again, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and send us an email if you need to. Now we're going to catch up with Sammy Halbert, brought to you by Feel Like a Pro Dirt, Brian Bartlow, and Feel Like a Pro. The Feel Like a Pro track is getting their new bikes. They're going to have a mixture of 250s that they rent out at the racetracks for racing and for track day events, but they're also getting the new 300 Ninjas. So they've got a new set of bikes coming out. If you're at Thunderhill, if you're at a Pacific Track Time event, if you're at an AFM race, Feel Like a Pro is going to be there. Say hi to David Seal. Tell him 2Wheel Podcast sent you. If you can get out to Brian Bartlow's this weekend, you'll be able to ride with Sammy Halbert and Brian Bartlow and get instructed by some of the best guys out there. Now, time for the interview with Sammy Halbert. We here at 2Wheel Podcast absolutely love Brian Bartlow, and so when we heard that Sammy Halbert was going to be over at Feel Like a Pro Dirt, we wanted to talk to Sammy and find out how he came about knowing Brian Bartlow. Sammy Halbert, thanks for being on 2Wheel Podcast.
Hey, yeah, thanks. Glad to be here.
Awesome. So you were Rookie of the Year in 2006, 2011, 2012. You had 4 race wins. You finished third in 2011 and second in 2012. 2013, you had some problems. So 2014, I was lucky enough to see you in Sacramento where you did really well. But how did your overall year end up for you?
Yeah, no, this year wasn't the greatest. I mean, it started off real good in Daytona Bike Week. I left with the points lead, and then at the very next race is when kind of like we started having issues and it seemed to never go away. Like my bike blew up at Springfield Mile, and then pretty soon after that was Lima, and I was leading that race like with 12 laps to go way out in front, and my bike broke. And so had just like some bike issues and had some changing personnel throughout the year, and different things. Just running my own team was just kind of like getting to be a bit much, and things not going well. So finished the year out like 7th in the championship, which wasn't too stoked about. Missed a race with injury, so had high hopes coming in, taking the points leader off the get go, but was kind of a bum year changing things up for next year, and really looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. So what are you changing up? You got a new crew coming in, or are you changing bikes? What do you got going on that's going to help get you to that next level next year?
So I've been running my own team since '08, and I've had some success with that. Like in '09, I won the overall championship. 2011 won the singles championship, and it's a lot of work and takes a lot of commitment from a lot of people. But and I always seem to do it on kind of a smaller budget. But so for next year, I'm hooked up with Briggs Auto, and Johnny Gode's going to be tuning, and those guys want to win. They want a championship, and so do I. So I'm going to be riding their equipment in the Twin Series, and then I'll still be riding my Yamaha 450s in the single series with support from Yamaha and Fredericktown Yamaha and Vans Yamaha. So I have a big singles program, and for me that's really easy to keep top notch, and be a big help for me to have more time to focus on being a rider and training and riding, to not have to run the Twins side of the program.
Yeah, and I didn't mention that. Yeah, in 2009, you were the fifth youngest to win. So you're, 22. You're 28 now? 27. So what do you think from 2009 to this upcoming year? What have you learned about yourself and about racing?
Man, it seems like since '09, like there's been a kind of core group of racers that have sort of been developing. Like we've all been getting better, and so it's just like it feels like the bar's just been consistently raising. Like every year, we're all getting better. So it's just stuff has changed. The setup's changed a little bit, but then we're still just going around in circles out there. So
right.
There's still that, but yeah, I've probably just learned to be a little bit of a smarter racer. It kind of comes with experience and whatnot, and just try and ride with a lot of confidence and come in with confidence in craft I've been perfecting. So there's been different tricks you pick up along the way. Like this last weekend, I was racing an indoor short track, and now going to being one of the more older guys locally, running the pro class, I was able to just kind of use some of my knowledge and pulling over on those guys and get the win. Just picking up stuff that you can, just tricks and stuff you can use along the way.
You guys are already hauling ass down the straightaways. If you had better tires, it would make you that much more faster. Do you agree with that?
Well, I mean, yeah, we can maybe get a little faster with some better tires. I don't think that's the reason. There just hasn't been a whole lot of tire development. But now we are getting some tire development, so we'll see if they can make us a better product. I don't think I think it's going to be hard to make it so much better where it's that much more dangerous or anything like that. But Dunlop's now getting involved, and we're like this year we've tested some of their new tires at some of the races even, and they look pretty much the same. That's probably what they're going to be. But so there's some development going on with that. To try and make a better tire and hopefully a more affordable tire.
Again, we're talking with Sam Halbert. You can find him at sammyhalbert.com. Halbert. Go to the website, check him out. He's going to be a force to be reckoned with next year. Off-season training. I mean, what do you got? What are you doing on the off-season from the time of the Grand National Championship finals till Daytona in March? What do you got going on?
Yeah, so right when the season ended, I had some trips going on. So like I went overseas for some riding and stuff, and then I actually going to Australia again in January for the Troy Bayliss Classic. So a bit of traveling, but and then did some riding and racing and stuff. So like we'll do indoor short tracks to train and kind of test the setups in the 450s, and then just the general staying in shape and riding as much as you can and building your program up to get ready for the next year. A lot of times I'll take training really serious during the winter and get ready for Daytona, and then Daytona's not like our most physical track, so it's like kind of like you just train for all winter and then get to Daytona and don't even break a sweat, and then it's a few months till the next national. So it's a long season. You got to not burn yourself out too early. It's kind of one of the things I've done in the past and learned to try and do that right. But so just staying in shape and riding as much as I can.
And you say you're going on trips, but I mean, it's actually work, right? You're not going to play around. You're actually going to ride or to train or to train other people, correct?
this winter I had a couple of kind of fun trips come up. Just guys from the UK Dirt Track Series flew me over to be at their end of the year banquet, and then I went to Kenny Noy's Dirt Track Festival in Spain. So a little bit just kind of was just a kind of experience of checking out these other countries and a little bit of riding and whatnot. And then the one in Australia is a race that I do want to win. I went over last year and was battling for the win and crashed out. So I got to go back and get it done this year. So yeah, kind of a combination of the two. I went to Japan, and that was basically just a trip I had got to go on with Yamaha and Yamaha dealers just to kind of check it out and stuff.
Do the Japanese like flat tracking, circle tracking?
There's a little bit, a few guys over there that are involved, and a few that come over here and stuff like that. So there's a little bit of a flat track culture over there, but definitely pretty small. I mean, flat track is the biggest in America.
I mean, obviously the one true form of motorcycle racing that is American.
Yep.
We're talking with Sammy Halbert, SammyHalbert.com. You can check him out there. Number 7 in the GNC championship. Time for 10 questions. 10 questions sponsored by Pacific Track Time. Pacific Track Time is one of the premier track time providers on the West Coast. Check them out at pacifictracktime.com. Question number 1. Sammy, are you a better singer or a better dancer?
Man, I guess dancer, but I ain't that good at that either.
All right. What's your favorite kind of music, country or Western?
I guess country out of those two options.
Best place for an ice cold beer?
I guess from the top of the podium.
I love it. One food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Man, that's a tough call. I don't know. Maybe give me some watermelon.
What was the last concert you attended?
Probably the only one I attended. Like, actual concert I went to was a Kid Rock concert one time. But yeah, just racing and stuff all the time. That's all I've been doing, so I don't get out and do that stuff enough.
All right. Where have you never been that you'd like to go?
Where do I want to go? I don't know. I guess just I enjoy checking out different countries. I'm not really sure which ones I really need to go to. So I don't know. I'm just kind of along for the ride.
All right. Who's the best rider in your family?
I don't know. I mean, I specialize in flat track. I mean, my brother have always been really competitive. Older brother, so.
All right. I'm gonna commend you for not saying that you were better than your brother.
Yeah.
What pisses you off? What's your pet peeve?
Which one, man? I don't know where to start. Like loud chewing when people are eating and stuff.
Okay. And question number 10, and then questions with Sammy Halbert. Best place for quiet time?
I don't know. My parents just got this sauna. It's pretty nice.
Awesome.
but probably just in front of my computer. You know, I spend way too much time on that. Just emails and whatnot. So I don't know. That's quiet time for me.
This has been 10 Questions with Sammy Halbert. 10 Questions sponsored by Pacific Track Time. Pacific Track Time, one of the premier track time providers on the West Coast. Check them out at pacifictracktime.com. Back with Sammy Halbert, number 7 in the GNC championship. Sammy, so how did you get to know Brian Bartlow?
A mutual friend of ours, Brian Pecor, the owner of the motorcycle shop in Santa Rosa, kind of hooked us up. Brian Pecor has been helping me out a bit when I've been in Santa Rosa and stuff like that, and been spending some time in Northern California lately. So he hooked us up to work together and have me come out and guest instruct at Brian's school.
How often do you get to instruct?
It's kind of hit or miss. You know, I was just recently in Spain and was a guest instructor at Kenny Noy's camp. Right. And I think that's the only time I've really gone to someone else's school to instruct. I do some lessons out at my house. We have a flat track, short track, and TT. And so a lot of times I'll have the local kids over whenever I'm around and the weather's good and do some of that. So it's definitely something I enjoy doing. I enjoy working with the kids a lot because they're young and can listen and pick up the good habits while they're still
right.
young. So
before they get to my age, and then they're asking you how to fix the bad habits I've learned over the last 10 years. Right?
Yeah, that's always tough.
What do you enjoy doing what's the drills you like doing with the kids that you find really fun and they like to do?
when I get out and mix it up with them, sometimes, sometimes I'll get out on the track with them and bump elbows or lift their elbow up when we're going around a corner to get them to try and pick their elbows up. So, I mean, I think riding with them and just the whole, I think that's always a fun part of it whenever I get out and do that.
Sammy Halbert's going to be at Brian Bartlow's Feel Like a Pro Dirt School, December 13th and 14th, Sammy, both days?
Yep, both days. It's
right.
Saturday and Sunday.
Saturday and Sunday, the 13th and the 14th of December 2014. If you can get there, he's still got a couple of more spots. If you're anywhere near Central California, over by Clear Lake, go to Feel Like a Pro Dirt and sign up for their event coming up December 13th and 14th, 2014, over the Feel Like a Dirt Pro Camp. Feel Like a Pro Dirt Camp. So want to thank you so much for being on the show. We always do this at the end of every interview with racers because we know sponsorship is very important. If you want to list off some sponsors that have helped you out over the last few years and are going to help you out next year, this is the time to do it.
Yeah, definitely. I'd like to thank all my single series sponsors. The twins are a little more complicated mixing around right now, but Yamaha, I've been a big Yamaha guy on the singles for a long time and get great support from Frederick Ton Yamaha and Van Yamaha and a ton of other sponsors like Kibble White, Wiseco, Chromatic Gaskets, and like Arai Helmets, and been a bit behind me for a long time. So now I've been switching to 60 on the motocross side of things for the helmets. But yeah, those guys have all been great, and I couldn't do it without them.
Awesome. Again, thanks so much for being on Two Wheel Podcast, Sammy Halbert.
All right, thanks.
Again, that interview brought to you by Feel Like a Pro. Go to feellikeapro.com and check out their what they've got to offer. Two Wheel Podcast is now happy to bring you the MotoFit Minute.
I'm Rob Birch, and this is the MotoFit Minute. Let's talk about some basic maintenance on your bike and getting it ready for riding on the track or even a trip across town. It doesn't matter what bike you ride. A motorcycle that is working well is always more fun to ride, and they respond better when you really need them to. There are a number of different processes involved when taking proper care of a motorcycle, but it all begins with a clean bike. Cleaning your bike is the time to take a close look at it, the perfect time to make sure everything is right and ready for action. Having a small toolbox with some essentials is important. A set of 1/4-inch deep well metric sockets, 3/8 metric sockets, metric combination wrenches, metric Allen wrenches, select fuse screwdrivers, and a good 3/8 torque wrench. Why a torque? Too many of us over-torque nuts and bolts. Anything over-tightened can always be as dangerous as loose hardware can. Always use torque specs when checking over your bike. They can be found online for almost any motorcycle. Here's some items to keep an eye on when going over your bike. How is your tire pressure? How is the chain tension and condition? How much material do your brake pads have left? Does the throttle work smoothly and snap closed on its own? Do foot and hand levers work smoothly without binding or clearance issues? Have you checked the drain plug since the last oil change? Are your wheel weights taped? Fluid levels and fittings for leaks? Develop a standard for checking up on your bike and look at it thoroughly and often. Like riding, it gets easier the more you do it. If you have any questions, you can always consult your local shop to ensure your safety. There's a detailed checklist at motofitgroup.com of bike tech requirements that will help you roll through any tech line without issues. The bottom line, if you can ensure a good running bike that will get the job done, you can ensure more smiles per mile. This has been Rob Birch with the MotoFit Minute.
To a podcast. That is the MotoFit Minute, brought to you by the MotoFit Group, providing world-class motorcycle instructions and track days in the Pacific Northwest. Also providing one-on-one instruction by Rob Birch. Go to the MotoFit Group on Facebook or themotofitgroup.com. Now it's time for this great interview I did with Keith Code. This interview brought to you by... Whether you're riding at the Daytona 200 or the high country back roads, you should demand perfection. Evol Technology guarantees their customers real-world performance and a reliable product. Evol Technology. Small footprint, big impact. Go to evoltechnology.com to find out how they can enhance your riding experience. Keith Code is a former motorcycle racer, a writer, the founder of California Superbike School. He's also been referred to as the best known and most successful on-track motorcycle instructor in the world. I want to welcome Keith Code to 2Wheel Podcast. Thanks, Keith.
Thanks for having me on, Ralph.
Beautiful. First off, a couple of questions I've always thought to myself now. How many languages has a twist of the wrist been translated into?
Let me see. I'll have to ask my wife. Well, we know of 9, and we also know of a couple of unauthorized translations as well. Right. And there are 3 more in the works. 3 more in the works.
Wow.
So 9 official, 2 pirated, and 3 more in the works. So that'll bring us to 13.
13. That's awesome.
Yeah.
2 is 11 14. And 3 is 14.
Okay, now a question I've always asked myself: the type of beard that I've seen you have ever since I can remember seeing you. What is that called? Is that called a petite goatee?
I don't know what it's called. I just sort of wound up with it one day and a what?
A soul patch.
Is it a soul? Okay, it's considered a soul patch.
It's
all right.
Patch, but that was from the Olympic Games in Seoul, Korea about 7 or 8 years ago. I never really quite thought of it as that. It's just a little outcropping. I shaved it off once, and she made me grow it back.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever ran into you at an event where you weren't sporting it.
Yeah, no, that was I had to stay home while I grew back.
If we walked into your garage right now, what would we see?
Well, you'd see a ping pong table. You'd see about 5 sets of leathers, starting from my Vetter Fairings Superbike days back in the 1970s, right, and Bushtani leathers from the 1980s, and my BMW leathers, my Kawasaki leathers, because we were with them for 30 years, and right, now the nice newest ones are my BMW school leathers. Yeah. And you'd see my mountain bike, you'd see my road bike, and you'd see my tools, and you'd see some pieces of sculpture I'm working on.
So you're an artist as well?
Oh, of course.
Okay. And you're sculpting stone?
No, actually, I was casting some hands for a little construction that I am making with some really old Bakelite, it's Art Deco stuff from the 1930s.
Okay, and so the hands that you're casting, are those your hands?
No, actually, they're a friend of mine's hands that are about an inch longer than mine. They're just huge, long, elegant hands. He's a potter and an artist and a painter, and he's got these great hands. And so that's what I used to cast it. I used his hands to cast, and then I'm going to make this sort of construction sculpture out of that and the Art Deco pieces.
So, are you restoring an old piece, or is it just something that you're creating out of your own mind?
Yeah, I've had the Art Deco pieces for 40 years, and I just never knew what to do with them because they're so beautiful. And they've been sitting in a box, and they've made a couple of moves with us, 3 moves, 4 moves, and finally I got the idea of what to do with them. So now I'm fulfilled finally after 40 years.
We're talking with Keith Code, of course, the author of A Twist of the Wrist. You mentioned that you have your street bike in there, or your road bike. What is your current ride of choice?
You're talking about motorcycles? I was talking about bicycles.
Oh, okay. There's no motorcycles in the garage.
There are no motorcycles in the garage. Our shop is about 10 minutes from here, and it's loaded with motorcycles. So I don't really have to keep one here, and I don't sort of own one personally at all.
So when you said road bike, you said bicycle and then a road bike. So you have a bicycle, then you have a road bike, pedal bike that you ride around.
Yeah, a mountain bike and a road bike.
So you're in the pedaling like everyone else. It seems like all the major riders are doing the pedaling thing right now.
I kind of went in and out of the bicycle world, and in the late '90s, I got interested in it with another guy who had been a professional bicycle rider, racer, and I invented a few things for bicyclists, and actually wrote a book called A Gear Higher about bicycling, and it was it was sort of a bicycle version of the first A Twist to the Wrist book.
Wow. So
yeah, it was an interesting project. Some of the inventions were really cool, and were things that really did help. But I realized at the end that's not my area. Bicycles wasn't really my area.
Right.
Motorcycles are, and motorcycle rider training. So I didn't really stay with the bicycling after that. But I spent 2 or 3 years playing around with it.
How many things have you invented? I mean, because I know you've invented, and we'll talk about this in a little bit with the Superbike School. But how many different items have you invented? Bicycles and motorcycles, everything.
Well, I didn't patent them all. I patented one of the bicycle things that I did. It was for riders to get the right angle on their feet with their clip-in cleats.
Oh, okay.
That was cool, and I invented an interesting pedal arrangement for bicycles where we had a little actuating cable on the handlebar, and when you flicked it and rotated the pedals back, a pin dropped into the bottom bracket axle, and you had a real solid foot peg that was parallel with the what would be a swing arm on a bicycle, but it gave you real solid footing. I made a foot peg out of it basically, and then as soon as you started pedaling again, the pin retracted and you just pedaled normally.
Wow.
That was cool. That was fun.
Is all this inventing? Is that the culmination of having in the early days to be your own mechanic, to fix your own motorcycle? Is that where all this where you sit back and you go, I could make this better?
Yeah, I don't know.
Or have you just always been a tinkerer?
Yeah, I've always had, just every once in a while, if I'm looking at something springs into my mind, and sometimes it's a really good idea, sometimes it's just fun and a good idea, and every once in a while, it's just sort of inspiration. I went to design school when I was after I got out of high school.
Yeah. For
a couple of years, and that gave me a really nice sort of idea of what design was all about and art.
We're talking with Keith Code, author of A Twist of the Wrist, owner of California Superbike School. What drew you to motorcycles in the early 50s, mid 50s?
My first encounter with motorcycles?
Yeah.
My first encounter with motorcycles was, it's a story I've told quite a few times. I was 7.
Right.
And so that would have been 1952. And I saw a guy ride by on a motorcycle. It was a Harley. It could have been an Indian, actually. I didn't know the difference at that time. And he had some pretty beat-up, fringed, brown leather saddlebags on it, and he had a couple little streamers hanging off the handlebars of the thing, and I'm sure it was a tank shift bike. It was a little bit bobbed, slightly hot rodded out a little bit, and of course nobody wore helmets back then anyhow, and he rode by on this thing, and the sound and the look of it was just I just fell right into it. You know, it was like a black hole. I got sucked in, and I'm still in there somewhere.
So at 7 years old, 1961, you're racing though, right? So you're 16?
I was 16 in 61, yeah.
And that's when you started racing, correct?
Yeah, I did.
What was the motorcycle scene like in 61? What was an average race like for you?
Well, you know, there weren't very many road races in America at that time. In 61, I'm pretty sure Daytona was still on the beach. Maybe just moved to the speedway, but I think it was still on the beach. Then there was Loudon, the Loudon Classic. Well, Willow Springs had one, but that was earlier. There weren't very many professional road races in America.
Right.
Yeah, there was a fair bit of club racing. AFM was active back then, and then the AAM club up at Loudon were active, and then there was a new club that started up that had an FIM sanction called the United States Motorcycle Club, started by the Otto brothers, and that was my first license, was with those guys, and you know, it was pretty much all British bikes back then in 61. There were a few two-strokes out there, you know, but not very many. Not very many. The two-stroke era hadn't quite hit America just yet. It took maybe another year or two.
Earlier this year, I talked to Steve McLaughlin about the 60th anniversary of AFM. What can you tell me about your time with AFM, first as a racer and then as a board member later on?
Well, the first AFM race I went to was at Ontario Motor Speedway, one of the best racing facilities in America. It's terrible it's gone, but it's not here anymore. It was 20 turns, 3.1 miles, pretty flat, but still challenging and interesting, and you know, you could go quick around there on small bikes and big bikes. 20
turns, that's still quite, even for our, you know, today's standards, is a lot of turns.
Yeah, that's true. There aren't that many tracks out there that with that sort of configuration, but it was fun, and it was really good, and everybody liked it. At any rate, the first race I went to with the AFM was in 73, and I had a street bike, a little 550 Honda that had nice light wheels on it, no 4-into-1 pipe, and really not much at all. It was a little bit stripped down, had a set of Chiriani forks on it. And so I showed up, and or I think I borrowed a pickup truck from a friend of mine and went out there and you know, unloaded it, and then went to the sign-in, bought myself a license, which was, I think, about $15 then. Paid my registration, which was maybe $20 or $25.
Wow!
And they had a flag talk on what the flags meant, and there was no new riders program of any kind. And I went out and I did a couple of practices, and then I went up and lined up for my race. And because the bike was modified, I had to put it in 500 GP. So somehow or another, I got on the front row, and next to me were the Kawasaki factory riders, Yvonne Duhamel, Hurley Wilbert, and Mike Green, I think, and me on a Honda street bike. And I went, this is really cool. Those guys are my heroes.
Wow.
So that was my introduction to AFM racing, and I got into it. I got myself. I was interested in helping them organize it, so I got on the board of directors in. Let me see, it would have been
I think 74, right?
74 or 5, I think.
Okay.
And I was on the board of directors for several years. I think 3. And at that time, the AFM was very strong. We had a strong Southern California club and also a very strong Northern California club.
Yeah.
Both the clubs were very strong. And I think we had over 900 licensed racers at that time, which was pretty strong. I think it still is pretty strong.
Yeah, and a lot of great racers came out of the AFM in 70s and 80s.
Yep, it's true. There were some really good ones that came through. Dave MD comes to mind. When I was training Wayne Rainey, we went to a few AFM races.
What do you
a very stock 650 Kawasaki.
Did you have a rival back then in your racing days?
Rival? No, not really. I was just out there I just wanted to ride. I didn't bother with the side social issues. I just wanted to ride.
Awesome. Do you think the attitude or the demeanor of racers has changed, in your opinion, from when you've started? And what kind of changes have you seen?
Well, yeah, sure it has. I think things are far more sophisticated now. Back in the day, in the 60s, 70s, and even in club racing through the 80s, riders were more willing to go out there and ride because they were enthusiasts, and they'd do it on a shoestring.
Right.
Enthusiastically do it on a shoestring. And, nobody had a motor home. There was nobody had them.
Right.
You had a lawn chair. That's what you had. That was like the, really big deal. If you had a lawn chair and you came to a racetrack, you had someplace to sit and a cooler. Pop-up tents, not very many guys had pop-up tents. It was pretty raw. Pretty raw. So, the kind of camaraderie that was back then in the paddock is different than it is now, I think, yeah. I mean, I haven't been club racing for a really long time, but people seem a little bit more isolated than they used to be. There was an awful lot of sharing of things going on. Not that doesn't still happen. I think it does.
Oh, yeah. Yes, it does.
I don't think it's lost all of it. It hasn't lost what professional racing has lost.
Right.
Professional racing is so different now than it was back then. It's a different universe completely.
Last question before we do the 10 questions segment of the show. Laguna Seca was very, very different. I grew up in the Bay Area, so I remember Laguna Seca has always been a part of my life. But the track was very different back when you raced. Do you think it's better or worse now?
It was deadly dangerous, first of all. The original track at whatever it was, 1.9 miles, was very dangerous. There was almost no runoff in quite a few places. If you ran off the track, for example, at turn 2, if you ran off the track, you hit a dirt embankment, about 15 feet off the asphalt. Wow. And it was 100 mile an hour corner. Mm-hmm. So there's no way you could fall in that corner and come out of it with no problems. And then anyhow, it was narrower. It was quite dangerous. But you know what? If you'd asked me if I thought it was narrow and quite dangerous back when I was racing in the 70s, there, would have said, I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about. Let's race.
Yeah, I came here to race. Let's go race.
Again, we're talking with Keith Code, California Superbike School owner and author of A Twist of the Wrist, a book I think all of my friends own, and if you don't own it, you should absolutely get one. It's time for the 10 questions segment of the show, Keith.
But one last thing on Laguna Seca.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is a vastly different facility now, for sure. There's much more runoff. They've safe-ened the tracks so much, and when they decided to lengthen the track, it was fortunate that I was in good communication with the then director, Lee Moselle, and he called a few people to come in and actually design the new section of the track, and I was one of those people, myself and Kenny Roberts from the motorcycle world.
Oh wow!
And so I got a little bit of a stake in the in the current configuration of Laguna Seca, and I'm pretty proud of that.
That's beautiful, and it's great that they actually brought some racers in to help them make it safer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, time for 10 questions. This is 10 questions sponsored by Pacific Track Time. Pacific Track Time, one of the premier track time providers on the West Coast. Please check them out at pacifictracktime.com. Question number 1, are you a better singer or a better dancer?
Hang on, I have to consult my wife on that. Better singer than dancer?
Oh, you're really great at both of them. So.
She says I'm really great at both of them.
Awesome.
You have to ask an opinion on a question like that.
Yeah, exactly. So you're equally good at both. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Would you rather have cold hands or cold feet?
Well, I always have cold hands, and I always have cold feet. So, but truthfully, I don't notice the cold feet so much, and cold hands. It's to me, what the 20th century brought to the greatest invention of the 20th century was heated hand grips.
Amen. Heated gear. I love it. Question number 3: best place to get an ice cold beer.
An ice cold beer. Well, I've spent so much time in England that I don't drink cold beer anymore.
Okay, beautiful.
But I can answer that question, and the answer to that question is on the beach, on the Yucatan Peninsula, at a place called Kailun.
Beautiful. One food for the rest of your life. What would you eat?
Well, that's tough because I'm very, very. I really like sea urchin.
Oh.
But recently, I was in Taiwan for the book releases in Mandarin Chinese for both of the Twist of the Wrist Volume 1 and 2.
Right.
And we had lobster sushi from their lobsters over there, and I have to admit it's edging out the sea urchin.
I have to be honest with you. I tried sea urchin at one time, and it was terrible. I didn't. It wasn't.
You got to get it fresh.
It wasn't something that I enjoyed. Next time I'm at the coast, I'll try and get some fresh urchin.
Yeah.
What is the last concert you attended?
Last concert I attended?
Yes, sir.
Last
musical concert you attended.
Procol Harum, was it? You mean rock and roll concert?
Any concert. Any kind of.
Oh, no, we went to hear, was it Andreas Schiff?
Andreas Schiff.
We went to hear Andreas Schiff at the Walt Disney Music Hall playing as Bach.
Question number 6. Do you have a secret talent, and what is it?
Secret talent?
Yeah. Something that you can do that you don't, not everybody knows about. Can you whistle through your nose? Can you blow a balloon up with your ear? I mean, I told you this is a dumb game.
Well, Judy says I can get a smile out of a woman of any age. That includes, 1-year-olds. Geez, I don't know. It's not some secret. I've had so many jobs in my life, and I've done so many things.
You have.
Really.
You've had an amazing career.
My sense of form and color is actually really, really good, and it's not something that I use very much in the motorcycle world or in our training or writing books or articles or all the other things I do, but I like to do it.
Beautiful. This is going to be a tough one. Where have you never been that you'd like to go?
Where have I never been that I'd like to go? The Maldives. The Maldive Islands.
Pet peeve. Do you have a pet peeve?
Pet peeve?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, my neighbor's a slob.
And the last question in 10 questions with Keith Code. Best place for quiet time.
Best place for quiet time. Well, my home office is kind of my sanctuary. It's where I come down here every morning, and I have this always have this haunted feeling that I better get my act together and figure out some new stuff about riding motorcycles. because I know I haven't finished it, and pretty much every day is a big adventure for me, and that's my quiet time is doing research and creating things that I can research and publish and get out to other writers so that they can improve, and that's what I do, and that's really my job in life, and so it's the thing that gives me the most joy.
Awesome. This has been 10 Questions with Keith Code. 10 Questions is sponsored by Pacific Track Time. Pacific Track Time, one of the premier track time providers on the West Coast. Check them out at pacifictracktime.com. So, Keith, and we're talking with Keith Code, California Superbike School owner, a Twist of the Wrist author. Have you always been kind of a teacher?
No, absolutely not. No, I started in 1976, and it was really from a suggestion from a friend. And he said, "Why don't you help other riders get better?" And I went, "I don't know. I hardly know what I'm doing." Right. And nobody else seemed to know either. Even the professionals, if you talked to them, all you got was kind of this strange, kind of barnyard advice about how to ride motorcycles. So I thought to myself, this is very possible that there is a technology underneath here somewhere. And so since 1976, I never have my mind off of it for a day.
Wow. You were asked by the United States Marine Corps to design a rider training program that would effectively reduce serious motorcycle injuries among Marines. The Advanced Motorcycle Operator School is now considered to be the gold standard for rider training by the Marines. And the Marines have a real problem, or actually the entire service. I mean, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, there's a real issue with these young men buying a motorcycle and then going out and hurting themselves.
It was a lot worse before 2006. In 2006, we were asked to design a program, and I did. And since that time, we have run 30 riders at a time, 1,100 riders through that program, right, and thousands of riders through a derivative program from that. But the interesting thing about it is that throughout that entire time, there was only one fatality for anybody that we got our hands on during that training, and these were all high risk guys. They knew, the Marines knew what their age bracket was, and so on and so forth. And so we're real proud of that program. It's ongoing. It's still being run. We're running derivative programs from the Advanced Motorcycle Operator School around the world. We go to Okinawa, Hawaii, all over the place, and do this program. So yeah, we're really proud of the safety record that our students have had in that program.
Is that different from the Superbike school training? Is it completely different?
Well, yes and no. It's based on the same basics, the same fundamentals, the same riding technology, but it is significantly altered to be able to run at Marine Corps air stations on their landing strips.
Okay.
So while the base technology is the same, we've added quite a few things. There are lots of things on there that we don't do at the Superbike school. We're really proud of it.
Yeah. Now, you founded the California Superbike School in 1980, but the philosophy, the data, the techniques, that had all been starting to get compiled almost a decade earlier, right?
76 was when I started, and I started out by writing down. I had 7 pages of information, and I put an ad in Cycle News and said, "Here's the Keith Code Rider Improvement Program. It's $200. It's 2 days. First day is study. Second day is at the track." At that time, you could go out to Willow Springs, and it was $20,
right,
for a day of practice.
Oh,
and there wasn't
those
anybody
days.
there. There was nobody there. I mean, there might be a car or something like that you'd have to go on onsies and offsies with, but that was the beginning of it. That material, and I was able to coach quite a few guys on that material. And when the school when I started school in 1980, I leveraged all that information and what I'd learned from doing all those one-on-one schools into the California Superbike School, and it's been a huge evolutionary process since that time. The schools, we've got so many tools now.
Right.
We have literally a couple of hundred different drills that we can assign to students.
I mean, anytime you stand around the pits with anybody and they talk about learning to be a better rider, California Superbike School almost always comes up in my experience.
It was the first, yes.
Yeah.
We were definitely the first.
Yes.
To actually offer advanced or high performance rider training, whichever way you want to say it.
Right. Is riding more, and again, we're talking with Keith Code, author of A Twist of the Wrist. Again, if you don't have that, find it, Google it, you'll get it. Go to the website, California Superbike School, and you can buy everything that Keith has there.
It's on Amazon. Both the A Twist of the Wrist books are ebooks now for $10, I think.
Is riding more mental or physical?
Well, for decades, I would say, and pretty much anybody would say, riding is 80%, 75%, 90% mental. But the truth is that there is a coming together of the physical and the mental. And something that I just began researching a few weeks ago, and I'm just finishing it off right now. In fact, today I was working on it, and I looked at what is the physical? What are the physical aspects of riding a motorcycle? And when I cooked it all down and got to the bottom nugget of the deal, I came up with the fact that your right hand is the thing that you use the most. And I started writing down, okay, well, what do I use my right hand for? What does a rider use his right hand for? What does he have to use his right hand for? And I started writing a list. And at the end of that list, the list took me about 10 days of figuring it out. Right. There are 47 coordinated actions that a rider has to be able to do in order to ride a motorcycle well. 47 coordinated actions with the right hand.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's not including the visual aspects of it either. So if I wanted to be really fussy with it and include all the visuals, then it would expand for probably another 15 or 20 points. But there are 47 that I've identified. Somebody, maybe there are 48 or 49. I don't know, but there's 47 for sure.
Wow. So it's a combination of 100% physical and 100% mental coming together.
Yeah, exactly. The subject of body position is huge. Everybody wants to look MotoGP, and I can't blame them. Of course, it's a little deflating to think that you're glued to the tank, and then somebody shows you a photograph of you sitting there with your neck all stretched out and kind of looking like a bad passenger on a motorcycle. And that was a little research project I did about a year and a half ago. I looked at body position, and I went, well, what is body position all about? And in my own way, my own research way, I sat down and discovered that there are 55 elements that go together to create body position, and if any one of them is out, it can start a whole string of things. So that's your physical side right there.
Yeah, definitely.
Right, and for sure, the mental side is interesting, but really, when you say mental, what you really have to, if you whittle it down, it's visual. It's the visual aspects of it, and then to a great degree, they are a mental effort to keep your visuals together, because the body has its own survival reactions, and it wants to do its own thing. Find danger, look at the potholes, stare at the thing you don't want to hit, and that type of thing. So the mental aspects of it really more apply to managing your visual skills than they do, some other indescribable aspect of it. It's more, that's the most important part of the mental side of riding a motorcycle. It's what you do and how you retrain your eyes to work for you instead of against you, which is what we'll do.
Again, we're talking with Keith Code. Do you think a twist of the wrist translates well to dirt riding and supermoto riding?
Twist of the Wrist Volume 2, more so
Okay.
than a Twist of the Wrist Volume 1. It's tough, Ralph, because, I have coaches that have been coaching for us around the world.
Yeah.
In 17 countries for over 15 years. And they continually go back to a Twist of the Wrist Volume 1 and say, you wrote the whole thing here. You wrote the whole thing here. And I went, yeah, well, there's a hint of it there, but, we fleshed that out. But, we've really fleshed that out. We've really fleshed that. They go, yeah, but it's here. It's here. And I really can't argue with them.
Wouldn't you really say that Twist of the Wrist and California Superbike School, it's an evolving thing. It's a living thing that is constantly changing and progressing and getting better, right? Or wrong?
Yeah. Yeah, the first Twist of the Wrist book, this is its 30th anniversary this year.
Yeah.
And there isn't anything in there that's old or unworkable or can't be applied or we don't do it that way anymore. Everything in the book, every single thing, is still applicable. It describes, doesn't go into the fineries of throttle control as well as Twist 2 and some other aspects of it, but it defines trail braking. What is it? How do you use the brakes?
Right.
What's the correct way of using brakes? How do you think about that aspect of it? And of course, the thing that most people get out of the first Twist of the Wrist book is allocating their attention. In the book it says, okay, you have $10 worth of attention. Where are you spending your nickels and dimes and dollars? And that's the takeaway that most people get from that book and have for, hundreds of thousands of copies that are out there.
Again, you can get all his books, his videos at Amazon.com. You can go to California Superbike School, the website. They've got all the information there. You've also got a forum board that you post to every so often with topics like crashing, body position, knuckle to knee, more on smooth, a fine art of braking. You put so much information out there for people to help people. And I love that because, well, most sites are charging for information. You're putting it out there for people to look at.
Well, that's my job. Sure, we sell the books. You have to because it costs something to print them. And,
well, yes.
And nobody wants to work for free either, so that's okay. It keeps retired racers in, paying their mortgage. But if there's not only all those articles that I put on the forum on the Superbike School thing, but also if they go to Motorcyclist magazine and online, motorcyclist.com, and there are 60 articles.
Wow.
70 maybe. I've been doing it for years now. Every month in Motorcyclist, that column is So
beautiful.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Last question here on 2WheelPodcast with Keith Code. 1981, you make an agreement with Kawasaki Motorcycle Corporation to train an up-and-coming dirt tracker by the name of Wayne Rainey. What was your first impression of Wayne?
Well, everybody likes Wayne immediately. He's just one of those guys. He's got so much charisma. Today is no exception. Even now. It's exactly the same, and he was, 18 years old then, and we got along immediately, and we started the training process, and quite a lot of it was still based on my one-on-one programs, and he used to come to my house once or twice a week, and did for year and a half during his introduction to road racing, which we did with the AFM and. There was another club in Southern California then also called the ARRA, and he went out and rode stock bikes, and I went to all the races with him, and that's where we started. And it was kind of cool because nobody had ever talked any factories into paying them to train a road racer. It never happened before, so that was kind of cool. I got a buzz out of that.
The California Superbike School has taught numerous champions, including Wayne Rainey. As of 2009, riders who have trained either at the school or by Keith Code personally, have won 49 world and national championships. He teaches all over the world. California Superbike School operates in 90 tracks in over 15 countries and has trained over 150,000 riders. I want to say thanks so much for being on Two Wheel Podcast. This is the spot where I say we can't do this without our sponsors. And if you want to give a couple of shout outs to sponsors right now, Keith, this is where we do it.
Yeah, we're so happy to be with BMW. We change our S1000RR fleet every year, so we're just about ready to get our 2015s in, and the new bike is even more spectacular than the ones we've had for the last 5 years. And
right.
we were so happy to get those bikes because we used 600 Kawasaki's for 30 years, and as soon as we put the riders on the S1000RR, our crash rate went down to less than half of what it was before, and
wow.
This was huge. So the bikes really do have learning, not only learning potential, but safety potential too. And while that learning process is happening, so we're really, really happy with those guys. And of course, we've been with Dunlop for 34 years.
Right.
We were with another tire company the very first year of the school, but we've been with Dunlop for 34 years, and I'm, always impressed with the fact that those guys never stop. I know all the tire engineers and executives at the company, and they're tireless at making better tires, which is really, really cool. And those guys have been very, very loyal to us, and we're loyal to them. And we got lots of other sponsors, but I'm not going to go off on a tangent on it.
Right. No worries. I lied. One last question. What, in your opinion, makes Marc Marquez such a great racer up and above the great racers that we've seen over the last 10, 15 years?
Well, that's a great question, and I think everybody would like to know the answer to that. And what I see is that his ability to work with the bike, with those big bikes, with MotoGP bikes.
Mm-hmm.
He's taken what I think Casey Stoner brought to the table, which was the ability to ride the bike ultra loose, and he's taken it just one step further. I mean, it would be fantastic if Stoner had not quit, and he and Marquez were able to go head to head. And I don't really know what the outcome of that would be, to tell you the truth. I don't think Marquez is necessarily a better rider than he was. But the ability to experiment and to ride the bike loose and to be smart enough to get the team to set the bike up for that is where it's going. And you can see that Rossi and even to some degree Lorenzo and Pedrosa as well are learning that. And I think both the Espargaro brothers have a little taste of that. And I think if you put them on frontline equipment, that they may very well be right up there vying for podium positions too, and a couple others, but those guys particularly.
Right. Well, again, thanks so much for sharing your time with us tonight. This Keith Code, California Superbike School, A Twist of the Wrist. Get it on Amazon. Get it at the California Superbike School website. Borrow it from a friend. Just get it, read it, watch it, and learn. Again, thanks so much, Keith Code, for being on 2Wheel Podcast.
Ralph, thank you for having me on the show. It was fun.
That's it for another edition of 2Wheel Podcast. I'm your host, Ralph Rodriguez. Technical coordination by Cody Melby. We want to thank Sammy, Halbert, and Keith Code for being on the show. We want you to visit all of our sponsors, the MotoFit Group, Evil Technology, Pacific Track Time, Scarrett Racing. Go to our Facebook page, 2Wheel Podcast. You can find all of our sponsors there. You can also follow us on Twitter at 2wheelpodcast.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at 2Wheel Podcast. Send us some hate mail at 2wheelpodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to get some. The few of you that actually like us can send us some love mail. Again, thanks so much for listening to the show, and we'll see you on the next ride.